Let me show you as you visited the former U.S. embassy in Iran. Let's watch.
This, of course, is what used to be the U.S. Embassy until a bunch of radical students back in November of 1979 seized it and took all the Americans inside hostage. There are other reasons why the U.S. government considers Iran to be dangerous these days, but if you want to talk about the roots of American resentment toward this country, what happened inside the U.S. Embassy here is a pretty good starting point. But raise that with almost any Iranian, and he or she will respond by saying, ah, yes, but look at what you guys did back in 1953 when the CIA conspired with British intelligence to overthrow the freely elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, replacing him with the Shah. And that's essentially the way you can define U.S.-Iranian relations these days. Tit for tat, grievance for grievance. When a group of Iranian journalists were denied entry to the United States, trying to accompany President Ahmadinejad to the General Assembly at the United Nations, the Iranians immediately responded by saying, well, when Koppel and that discovery group leave, that's it. We will be issuing visas to no more American journalists.
That's incredible. Here we are, concerned about Iran becoming a nuclear power with the war bordering Iraq, and we're still dealing with tit for tat on journalists' visas.
I'll give you another example. When I arrived in Tehran, I was taken in to be fingerprinted. It took about an hour because they don't fingerprint anybody else. They only fingerprint Americans. And the only reason they fingerprint Americans is because we do retinal scans on people who come from the Middle East, and they don't have a retinal scan machine. I asked someone later, what do they do with the finger? Because the guy who fingerprinted me had never done it before, and he got so much ink on it you couldn't even read the fingerprint. He said they just throw it away. They're just doing it to be
harassment.
Yeah, well, it's tit for tat.
What's the sense of the country? What did you find there, Ted?
It's not, look, all of us have been to totalitarian countries. And in its own way, Iran is a totalitarian country, but there is a different feel. In some countries, you sort of feel as though all the air has been sucked out of the atmosphere as soon as you walk in. That's not the way it is with the Iranians. Iranians are eager to talk. They will criticize their president, some of them just as savagely and with the same kind of sarcasm that people in Georgetown salons in this town criticize President Bush. In fact, frequently they will draw that kind of analogy between their own president and President Bush. That surprised me a little bit. Having said that, if you cross some of these invisible red lines that they have, you can be jailed for the most innocuous things, and you can be brutalized for the most innocuous things. It's not an easy place to